Today, as it's Halloween, we're looking at Learn to Program, Animation, The Haunted House for MSX and ZX Spectrum. Written by Marcus Milton and David Rosen. The programs are by Marcus and David, and the MSX programs by Angel Garcia, and it's translated into Spanish by Angel Garcia. Note the Spanish version. I was bidding on this on eBay last year and it didn't get it, was too expensive, but there is the Spanish translation available on archive.org. We start off with animation on the MSX. MSX aficionados would have spotted this is in fact the MSX2. This will bite me in the arse later. However, for this version of the animation, it'll work fine. MSX has access to sprites. And what we do here is set the screen appropriately, define a little sprite based on some characters read from data, and then we display it, and it moves rather nicely across the screen. This is a great advantage of sprites. So we set the sprite string to be a string. It's a very short program. Most of it is going to be the data statements, which will be on line, I think, 70 perhaps. So we have a little loop here, going from 240 to 1, put the sprite at that position, put sprite number 1 there. Small delay. You don't need to specify the variable, and then repeat. And here is the data which represents the shape of the sprite. These are bits which go into displaying a little picture. Very similar to user-defined graphics on the ZX Spectrum, but you get much more in a sprite. You're not limited to 8 by 8. Each number represents 8 pixels. And once you typed in, you get to run it. And we get a lovely aeroplane flying from the right of the screen, which will be position 240, to the left of the screen, which will be position 1. Nice and smooth. Sprites allow you to put a picture wherever you like on the screen with pixel perfect precision. On the ZX Spectrum, we don't have sprites. We do have UDGs, or user-defined graphics. And here on line 10 is here is defining them using data. Now what is 65368? That is the start of the very first user-defined graphic A. You would normally not hard code these values just in case they change, also because they're hard to remember. Now looking at the end of the program, we see we are printing repeatedly user-defined graphics AB, then CD, then EF, then GHI, which looks a bit weird. Let's see this in action. Oh look, a smoothly scrolling plane. What they've done is define the plane multiple times across the different graphics. Each time it is 2 pixels to the right. So rather than printing and jumping a whole 8 pixels at a time, we might get the illusion of moving 2 pixels at a time until the third one we put an extra space and it shifts along one. Nice and smooth. Very neat trick if you've got enough user-defined graphics. We'll now look at the ZX Spectrum version, which I've just loaded from tape. Let's look at the source. Line 5 is a comment of 18 asterisks. This is because the program is going to store its machine code in line 5. This is a technique which I first saw on the ZX81. You don't need to do it on the ZX Spectrum, but it's okay. And here is the program. Lots of nice user-defined graphics. Let's see what it does. The program has no sound effects or music, so I have added these. Please check the borders for the credits. We start off with this nice daytime scene. There is a forest, there is a path, a nice castle, rusticated. Effective use of the plot here. We have 2 towers, first on the left, with the speckled effect, and then on the right, speckled effect giving a weathered stone appearance. Each tower has a roof. This is done by drawing a series of lines based on a bit of trigonometry. Nice conical roof, nice and attractive. A real roof, some battlements, some windows and a door, and then a nice selection of user-defined graphics trees. Really rather lovely little fairy tale castle. Night has now fallen. We have thunder. The moon has come out. The changing of the screen is done with machine code, which is now in line 5, changing everything to blue and black. The moon there. We have the witch moving across the screen. This is done with the user-defined graphics sprite trick. And a bat flapping about. The bat is rather flickery, but the effect works reasonably well. The witch is scrolling across quite nicely. Oh no! The lightning has struck the castle and has caused a fire. The castle has now collapsed. And out of the ruins rises in the smoke a spooky skull. And then the program just stops. It's a nice shimmering effect of the skull done with flash and the checkerboard graphic effect in different colours. Could have done with some music. Can't really do much sound effects in 48K Basic without going into machine code. So look at the code. The screen is now flashing, so we can turn that off. And line 5 makes the screen not display very well. And we look at the code and it is really deeply unhappy. Spectrum does not like this at all. This is the 18 bytes of machine code that we execute to turn everything black and blue. If you list number 10 though, see the code is all, the rest of the code is there fine. And there's the witch, moving across ever so slightly. At the end of the program we have all our data, which is user-defined graphics. And finally the machine code, which if you're not familiar with Z80 machine code, I have assembled it for you. And essentially we have a couple of loops where we put 1 into the second number and then repeatedly push that onto the screen. 32 is how many rows there are. Go around a few loops and then fill the screen with black and blue. This is the MSX version. No MSX, not MSX2. There are subtle differences to the basic. I also had some confusion because it doesn't look quite like it appears on the screen. We set the background to be green. We then fill the top of the screen. This is not background. This is a solid block of characters which are blue in colour. This is to make the machine code use later easier. The screenshots in the book suggested there should have been some rolling hills. There are not. Here's a nice path. You can see on the left you've got the solitary tree with the rustication. It's a lot faster than the Spectrum. We get the little dots indicating weathering. It's all rather nice. I get the 2 towers. First the left, and then the right. A solid block of colour and then overline with horizontal lines. The roofs, left and right. Remember the MSX has access to sprites. The windows are also sprites, as there's the door drawn. Loads of nice trees to represent the forest. I had to add in the pause here, otherwise after drawing the trees we go straight away to night. We want to enjoy the daytime. What a nice, attractive and castle. Uh-oh. The MSX has sound, That was MSX sound. The machine code made ever the screen flash. We now have a witch moving from the left and a flapping bat and the moon. That was sprite detection, sprite collision detection. Plays a little tune. And now the witch moves faster and now the bat goes a lot faster as well. Super spooky. Oh no, we have a fire. I changed the colour of the fire. The fire was originally pale red, which when it was displayed looked like it was white, which wasn't really very fire-like. So I went for bright red. See here we display the fire above the window, starting at the top right, one fire, then two fires, then three fires, as the fire spreads throughout the little castle, or the haunted house if you prefer. The book had what I presume to be a typo. It had this overlaying the castle with right square bracket, which looked awful. So I assumed they actually meant the solid block. Then we have a skull. Thanks for watching, and don't have nightmares.